It's caught in the crossfire. It's caught in the
Hello everyone, Michael here, and welcome back to a brand new video. And in today's video, I'm reviewing the kind of old at this point LEGO 2022 Express Passenger Train, an absolutely incredible train. Meets all expectations and exceeds most, complete with every detail that you would expect finding in a modern European style train. And in this video we will go through every single one of those details, big or small, as well as taking a look at the full loop of track which it comes with. And to top it all off, we will not only be comparing this with the previous train, but we will also be running it in my LEGO City and see how it does. But without further ado, let's get straight into it. This is set number 60337. It is for ages 7 and up. Comes with 764 pieces. It includes 6 minifigures. Comes with 24 pieces of track, 16 curved and 8 straights, and retails for $190 in the United States. Let us kick this review off by taking a look at the main locomotive, which is quite substantial and long, probably the longest one, at least electrical locomotive, that they've done in a long while, using the longer single piece chassis, I guess you would call it there. It's very, very long, plus the extra length of the nose gives it some very nice realism and just makes it look all the better. Taking a look at the front here, we are seeing something that they haven't done in the recent years, barely at all. It is actually a built-up nose section, as to the two previous trains, which both had molded nose sections, single piece ones. Here we have some very nice rounding off and I guess kind of that splitter thing that you find under the nose of most high-speed trains. There we have a nice clear back sticker, which as always is very annoying to put on, serving as a nice transition between the gray and the white. There we can see some 2 trans blue 1x2 slope pieces, which do actually light up. We'll get into that later. Here we have some nice, very angled pieces dispersing into the actual main cockpit glass part, which you can open up for easy access to get in there. And there we have your seats to control the train. There we have, that's where your driver would sit. There we have your control panel with all your controlling essentials, such as your throttle, some display sticks, and some switches for you to flip and do whatever. Over here we have a simulation of a door, which looks very, very ugly indeed. I do wish that they would have recolored the sort of small window frame in lime green here, because that would have just looked so much better instead of just going for the single glass piece, which they use throughout the set, everywhere, on every single car. It would just look a lot better, and it's also completely flush with the, that's not flush, that's supposed to be flush, but it's actually flush with the rest of the locomotive, which is it's just not as pleasing. It's always nice when it's kind of embedded in depth, I guess. It has depth. Here we have some nice knot construction, as we pretty much the same as we saw on the last train. It's just simply connected to the main battery box, like so, with some bracket pieces there. Here's just some grills to serve as cooling for the electrical unit inside of the train. We also have a nice little transition between the lime green and the black with these actually half squares, and that LEGO transport sign, which always kind of reminds me of Darth Vader's personal tie. I don't know why, it just does. Up here we have your electrical pickup, which can actually retract when this is not being in use. And there you have your kind of remote activation of the battery box down there. This does use the new powered up system, which they introduced for the last train a couple of years ago. And they do include a physical controller for you to use. It's very, very simple. You just simply press the green button there until that's flashing. You also press this at the same time, and when it turns green, you will know that this is all good and ready to go. Oh, it does work very, very well. That was precarious. Let's just move it back a little bit. There we go. as with the controller, the lights that I mentioned before in these slope pieces are controlled by the controller as well. They're hooked up to the same battery box. By simply using this, you can turn them on. You could actually control the brightness as well. So you can make them quite dim and also quite bright as well. And of course, you can just turn them on just like that. But anyways, with the conclusion of the locomotive, let's move on to the two passenger cars. And I did just want to point out here how they made such a small gap. And if you aren't aware of this, most LEGO trains that don't use the Jacob's bogie have a very large gap in between cars. And here they've solved that by sort of caving in the corners. That way the gap is kept to an absolute minimum while being able to go around the very tight curves that LEGO has. As you can see when it's turning, it's even less of a gap, which is even more incredible. But anyway, I just thought I'd point that out because that's a pretty important aspect of the set. And by the way, this does use the new kind of piece, not with the axles, but their own singular wheels in their own singular things. First introduced in the Hidden Side set from 2019, the Hidden Side train. But anyways, here we have our first passenger car, which is simply just that, a passenger car. Accommodates seating, as you can tell by that sticker there, and it also able to accommodate bicycles, as you can tell by that sticker, which we will take a look at in a second. Here we have two doors. Yes, doors, finally, for a LEGO train. It's been about 10 years now. Can't tell you when the last time I had a train with doors, but this is incredible. They're just those double doors recolored in black, I guess. The roof does come off in two separate pieces to allow you for easy access. This middle section is attached just to support these doors and interlock them together, because you know how LEGO loves their interlocking bricks, but you can also simply just remove that if you want some extra space. Here on both sides we have seating for two with a table in the middle and a little indent for some luggage. And there you can see your bicycle accommodations. So you can actually grab a bicycle, an old frame, not the new mountain bike, but put it there. And as you can see, it's in there, nice and snug. You could also just put the bicycle on the floor if you so fancy, but you can just also put it there. You can do that if you want to. I mean, it's LEGO, you can do whatever you want. But anyways, on to the next passenger car. And here it is, the next passenger car, which is for, as you can see, it can accommodate people in wheelchairs, and is also a cafe car, as you can tell by that trademark LEGO City mug. But anyways, there's those same double doors again. It's basically the same car from the outside, apart from the stickers. I mean, you can tell, but from the inside, they're actually very different. We can also take off the center section again, like so. Over here we have some regular seating, as we saw in the previous car, and there you have your accommodation for disabled persons. You can take the person in a wheelchair, like the one included with the set, and just put him there, and he simply rests on a droid head, and he won't fall out or anything like that, so he's nice and safe in there. But here we have some stickers to show the passengers how fast they are currently going. As you can see, they're currently going 303 kilometers an hour, which pretty much translates to about 280 miles in the Imperial system. And for the actual cafe car part of this cafe car, we have a little table for you to eat at, and there's your actual, concession stand, cafe, or place where you get your food. There you have a cash register, a croissant, so a coffee machine with 2 coffee cups, a nice little glizzy up there, and a refrigerator with nothing in it. But that's basically it for the train. Now let us move on to the one side build, which is the little train stop. And here is that train stop. It is able to connect to one singular straight track there. It's a pretty simple train stop, which is actually wheelchair accessible with a little ramp there. We have a little map of all your train stops and routes, a little tree to match with both the color scheme and break up the gray monotony of this train stop. And we also have a little bench for you to rest at. Now, this does have quite a big gap, as you can see. that is very, very big. You'll have to kind of, become an Olympic long jumper, just casually become an Olympic long jumper to just make it to your train car. But I'm assuming this is for people with smaller layouts that need enough clearance for the big nose to come through, because they could have a curve right here, and you need to have not just enough clearance so it doesn't hit it and wear out any Lego pieces. But anyway, let's move on to the minifigures. First is this little girl with the medium children's leg, which sorry about that, which can actually be articulated. As you can see, she has a laptop which doesn't have anything inside of it. I won't bother opening that now because I don't want to bring my fingernails. She's got a jersey there for a basketball team. She's got also back printing with the Squids basketball team. She's got some pom-poms in her hair, and she does have an alternate face where she has some purple glasses and is looking quite serious. Next, we have this biker who is looking very sporty and sweaty indeed, from probably going very, very fast, and is pretty probably tired out. He's got a very nice light coral vibe to him, with the coral legs and coral torso with the yellow and purple highlights. He does not have an alternate face, as you can see, because the helmet doesn't really cover that up. He's also got a nice magenta vibe to him with both his helmet and his bike, which is a new color for this old bicycle frame. He's also got some saddlebags. Maybe he's a DoorDash driver, or maybe they're just for his own personal use. But anyways, next minifigure. And here we have the train driver of the train. He's quite simple, just having a hat, a mustache, and a nice dark azure torso, which is nothing too interesting. It's quite basic, and he's what you expect from a train driver. And here we have the disabled person, which we saw trying out that wheelchair accommodation in the cafe car. He's got a very green vibe wheelchair, which reminds me of the wheelchair which we saw in the skate park set from a couple of years ago, which we reviewed when it came out. He does not have an alternate face. He also has a little blonde hair to him. Looks very happy and has a forward backpack, I guess. And underneath we have a nice little plaid shirt there, which is actually corresponding with the same exact shirt that we saw in another disabled person in a set from a couple of years back, specifically the Lego City Center, where we saw a blind person with a service dog wearing this exact same shirt. It's also the shirt that Harl wears in Into the Vast Unknown 1 and 2 for one time. Next is the person that is kind of like the conductor and also supposed to work at the cafe car. She has some nice brown hair, teal torso, similar to the one we saw with the train driver. Not great back printing, but she does have an alternate face, as you can see. And our final minifigure is a passenger with some pink hair and a kind of modern art shirt. She's got an orange smartphone, a suitcase to keep her belongings. She does have an alternate face where she is happy, or maybe laughing, which is kind of the same feeling. But yeah, that's it for the minifigures. Let's move on to the comparison of the trains and running the train in my city. And here I am in my Lego city with the new train and the previous train as well to do a quick comparison. As we can see, the new train is significantly longer than the older train. By looks, they look equally good. I mean, of course, that built-up nose section will always be better than the single-piece molded nose. But I'm also glad that it uses this little fender piece, which didn't come on the original old train. This is a heavily modified version made by me. I did actually use that same exact element there. I switched it out from the other one. But anyway, without further ado, let's see this thing run. So I have the controller right here. Let's do it. Oh my gosh. That looks absolutely incredible. I mean, just look at that. Look at that beauty. Oh, let's speed it up a little bit too. There we go. That's more like it. The only problem is it is a quite bit louder than the old train. Let's do a smooth comparison going out of the mountain. There we go. As you can see, the older train, the yellow train, is a little bit more quieter and sounds like it's running more smoothly, probably because it has the axle, the old metal axle system, and not the new single wheel system. But other than that, the new train is actually better, kind of. I mean, it fits more into the city, of course. The old yellow train fits a little bit better because it's been in the city longer. But now that it's new, it looks great, especially blending with all the different greens in my city. But while we're here, let's quickly talk about value. This set is $190, which is quite a significant amount more than the previous train, which is $160. However, with the recent change with inflation, they're actually pretty much the same price. If this set was released back in 2018, it would most likely be $160 as well. Now, for $190, you are getting quite a significant amount more pieces by like 100 or so. Big, longer train. An overall better, cooler experience, not to mention the lights that actually come included with the set. As you can see, they're right there. But yeah, overall, I would say this is a great value. I highly recommend buying it. However, I do still think $190 is quite expensive, so at this point you might find some decently okay discounts for this train. But anyways, that's gonna be it for me. I do hope you did enjoy this video. Please do not forget to hit the subscribe button down below and also hit the like button. That would be greatly appreciated. And as always, I will see you all next time. Goodbye!